Hi there, welcome to another Friday Findings video. On this YouTube channel I have shown you many techniques that you can do with wire, including making your own ear wires, making clasps, making wireframes. But here's something you may not have thought of to do with wire: making your own words. These are actually rather popular right now. You can find them in certain department stores, made into rings, into jewelry. And this is a rather fun way to use wire, making whatever words you like. So the first thing you'll want to do before making some wire words is to actually practice writing out the words that you want. And I would suggest you keep them short: love or joy or peace or hello or something like that, but probably not supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. That might be a bit much. But practice writing out your cursive and think about how these letters are going to work in wire. And then once you have an idea of how you're going to put your words together, it's time to get out some wire. I would suggest using soft wire like this, dead soft. You can try using half hard, but it's going to be more difficult because the wire is stiffer. The advantage is that your wire will hold its shape better. What I suggest you do is pull out your wire, and it's a good idea to get yourself a longer piece than you think you'll need. Maybe, for I think this love word, my first piece was like 12 inches. So cut yourself a piece of wire, but before you do that, use some nylon jaw pliers. And leave your wire right on the spool. That way you can hold on to it, will just hold on to the end for you. And run your wire through the nylon jaw pliers a few times. This not only straightens the wire, it also starts to harden it a bit. You don't want it too hard because then it will be hard to manipulate, but you want it, and you want it to still be flexible. So a few strokes with the nylon jaw pliers. Cut your piece of wire. And then you have to think about how you're going to use these words. You could string them with loops and use it as a pendant. You probably would want to put these up higher, otherwise it will hang upside down. I've seen these done very small and then wrapped around something round and made into rings. You could make it a bracelet. You could use it on paper crafts like in a scrapbook or on mixed media projects, home dec, whatever you like. So think about how you want to use this first, and then leave yourself a good little tail, maybe 2 or 3 inches of a tail. You'll want to have an array of tools that will help you shape your wire. The main thing that you'll use are just round nose pliers, and you can use the narrow end or the wider end. For my O's and the A, I use these bail making pliers with their 5mm mandrel. You'll have some sharp bends to make, and flat nose pliers are great for that. And if you have smaller sharp bends, then perhaps a pair of chain nose pliers. And this is something really you just kind of have to work out on your own in practice, and you'll kind of figure it out. So like for the love, I'm just going to use my fingers to make a gradual curve up to the first part of the L. And then I'm going to use my round nose pliers to make the top of the loop. And you can just bring that wire right around. There's my L, probably one of the easiest letters to do. Now I've got this sharper bend going up to the O. So I'm going to put my round nose pliers there. And whenever you can hold the wire in your tool and use your hand to move it, you're going to get a smoother curve that way. So there we go. I can tell already this one's going to come out quite a bit bigger than that one. So that's okay. So I think I'll use the bigger mandrel. Now the O, I'm going to end up just making a loop around rather than the way you would write it. It just makes more sense to do it that way in wire. And again, if you just hold the wire in the tool, use your hands to bring it around. And for the O, I'll just reposition my pliers. And that's kind of fun. Now for the V, I've got a little bit of a bend going over to the V, and that's where I'm going to use my chain nose pliers. put them in there, and it just takes some practice to get a judgment, you know, whereabouts am I going to position the pliers to get that bend spaced properly. So maybe about there. And then again the round nose pliers for the bottom of the V. That's a little long. There, that's better. And then we have another sharp bend here for the V. So the flat nose pliers are good for that. And then the E, I think I'll tuck in the wide part of my chain, my round nose. Over and around. I'm going to bend that down a little. And then what you can do is, if I measured this and it was 12 inches, and then I'm going to cut it off, and then measure the leftover piece, and if you want to repeat it, then you'll know exactly how much you want to use. Now for words like this, like peace, or even joy, this was the trickiest one I've found, and this one, it's good to practice because I can see this lower loop is way too long, and I was running out of wire over here, so the shorter loop is way too short. And there's too much space here, and this isn't even, and I'm not thrilled with this. So there's a lot to work on in practice. And then for the piece, I actually, you could see down here, I took a minute, all right, how am I going to shape that? Not necessarily how I would write it in cursive, maybe, but how am I going to do it in wire? And we have these sharp bends. And I'll show you just on the end here, if you want to do the sharp bend, the best tool is the flat nose pliers. And you can get it most of the way. And then you have this loop that you want to really tighten up. Now, if you have your wire out here in the tips of the pliers, you have less leverage than if you put it way down here closer to the axis. You have a lot more force and leverage down here. You can see you can just gently flatten that right up. And so for both ends of the stem of my P, or for the A, that's how you would do that. Or even for the C, I had to bend it back around itself. One final thing you can do to ensure that your wire word is as strong as possible is, once you're done with it, take your nylon jaw pliers and just squeeze the wire with the pliers. Believe it or not, just this little bit of a motion will help strengthen the wire, it will harden it, and help it so that it will hold its shape better. Another thing I had thought to do, it would be fun to use very fine gauge wire and wrap these words, maybe adding a few beads in key places, being careful that you don't make it so you can't read the word, but just to decorate it might be fun. So just a little bit of squeezing with the nylon jaw pliers will help make it so that your word is a lot more stable. So that's actually holding together pretty well. Just right here is the weak spot, which would be expected. So have some fun. Think of words that you would like to use to put on a piece of jewelry, or, like I said, a piece of home deck. Get out some inexpensive wire first and practice, and then make yourself something really cool and interesting. If you like this video, please be sure you've subscribed to my YouTube channel so you'll see more like it. And also check out my blog, keepsakecrafts.net, where I have lots more creative ideas and inspiration. Happy creating. Bye-bye.